Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. India formulates plan over Indus water treaty abeyance. Jal Shakti Minister vows not a single drop of water will go to Pakistan. Stern action taken following Pahalgam terror attack. Houses of terrorists demolished in Jammu and Kashmir. UN Security Council strongly condemns Pahalgam terror attack, underlines the need to bring perpetrators, organizers, financiers and sponsors of terrorism to justice. India's DRDO achieves significant milestone in hypersonic weapon technology, successfully conducts long-duration active cooled scramjet subscale combustor ground test for over 1,000 seconds. US envoy Steve Witkoff to hold talks with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Oman. Latest meeting will include expert-level talks on Iran's nuclear program. President Murmu, along with other world leaders, to attend the state funeral of late Pope Francis in Vatican. India to observe state mourning to mark Pope's funeral. India's Home Minister Amit Shah on Friday held a meeting on how swiftly the decision to hold Indus Water Treaty in abeyance could be implemented and finalized a detailed roadmap. A day after India formally communicated to Pakistan that it was keeping Indus Water Treaty between the two countries in abeyance, the meeting was attended by Jal Shakti Minister C.R. Patil and senior officials. The meeting discussed implementation modalities in view of creating additional water storage infrastructure and speeding up work on hydropower projects as medium and long-term measures so that waters of the western rivers Indus, Jhelum and Chenab can be adequately used by India. Desilting of rivers and dams will be done on priority. It will augment supply of water to the Indian side, resulting in slightly lesser flow to Pakistan, which already faces a deficit of 32% in meeting its irrigation and drinking water needs.
ये जो हत्या हुई है धर्म पूछ के हुई है, ये अत्यंत गंभीर प्रकार का एक काम हुआ है, निर्मम हत्या है। पूरा देश कभी नहीं भूलेगा। अभी उनके साथ कोई भी संधि आज तक हुई होगी उस सभी संधि को रद्द कर देना चाहिए। ऐसा मुझे लगता है सरकार ने जो अभी जल संधि को रद्द कर दी है, एक अच्छा डिसीजन लिया है।
India has launched a wide-reaching diplomatic campaign to inform other countries about the terror attack. Several foreign envoys called on External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar after the Pahalgam terror attack. Dr. S. Jaishankar met Israel's ambassador Reuven Azar and appreciated Israel's steadfast support in combating cross-border terrorism. He also met Argentinian ambassador and welcomed Argentina's strong condemnation of Pahalgam terror attack. Ambassador Kamal Zayed of Egypt also called on Dr. S. Jaishankar and discussed the deepening of strategic partnership between the two nations. The External Affairs Minister appreciated Egypt's support in the fight against terrorism. The External Affairs Minister also conveyed condolences to Nepal's ambassador Shankar Sharma on the death of a Nepali national during the Pahalgam terror attack. A day after India revoked visas issued to Pakistani nationals in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack, India's Home Minister Amit Shah spoke to all chief ministers on Friday, asking them to identify all Pakistani nationals in their states. The Home Minister asked the chief ministers to take steps to ensure their prompt return to Pakistan. Meanwhile, Union Home Secretary Govind Mohan held a meeting with chief secretaries of all the states and union territories through video conferencing over the issue and urged them to ensure strict compliance with the order related to the suspension of visa service to Pakistani nationals. 3 more houses of LET terrorists have been demolished in 3 districts of South Kashmir on Saturday, who are suspected to have involved in Pahalgam attack. Official sources confirmed that a house belonging to a terrorist, Ehsan ul Haq Sheikh of Muran, Pulwama, was demolished late on Friday night. Similarly, in Kulgam, the house of terrorist Zakir Ahmad Ghania, who was active since 2023, was destroyed in Matalhama. In Shopian, house of another terrorist, Shahid Ahmed Kute, was also destroyed in Chotipur. He is active since 2002. Earlier on Friday, two houses of terrorists Asif Ahmad Sheikh Tral and Adil Tokar Bij Behra were demolished after their involvement in Pahalgam attack came to the fore. Meanwhile, Pakistani army troops violated ceasefire again along the line of control in Kashmir for the second consecutive day today. According to the Indian Army, on the intervening night of April 25th and 26th, unprovoked small firing was carried out by multiple Pakistan army posts all across the LOC. The Indian Army retaliated appropriately with small arms. No casualties have been reported so far. All right, DD India's Vishal Barrister joins us from Srinagar. Vishal, good morning. You're there in Srinagar. We've told our viewers about the demolition of the houses of terrorists whose involvement has come to the fore when we talk of Pahalgam terror attack. What more can you add? Get us more details.
Well, a very good morning to you, Preeti. Right now I'm here at the Lal Chowk in Srinagar. Life is slowly limping back to normal, but let me tell you that the economic activity has taken a beating drastically. Tourist numbers have also gone down, but there are still people here and they are still enjoying their stay here. Before I go to them, let me give you some more information. You have already informed our viewers that 5 houses so far have been demolished, and these are all active terrorists. And apart from that, the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir has called for a special session. The session convenes on Monday. Meanwhile, all trekking activities have been suspended till further orders. This I'm talking about the forest areas, because the combing and search operations are on. Meanwhile, I have 2 gentlemen who have come here. Let's talk to them. What's your name?
My name is Ritesh Joshi.
Ritesh, where are you coming from?
I am coming from Madhya Pradesh, Ujjain, Baba Mahakaleshwar Nagari.
Okay. Now, how long has been your stay here and what has been your experience apart from the incident that took place?
Yeah, last 6 days we are in the Kashmir and the experience is fantastic. People are very good. They are very cooperative. Securities are very tight. Although it's a part of the thing that the terrorism, but I would like to request you all the people, please come Kashmir and explore the Kashmir. Is our dharti, is our earth, and enjoy. Jai.
Well, absolutely, Kashmir belongs to us. No question about that. What is your name?
I'm Abhishek.
Abhishek, where all have you been?
We have been to Gurez. We started the journey from Gurez and then we went to Gulmarg, then Sonmarg and Srinagar.
Okay. Now, after the attack, did you find any kind of difficulty apart from the security arrangements that is because of your safety? What has been the attitude of the locals here?
I will start before my experience is before the incident happened also. The experience is fantastic. What we see in the media, what people say to us, what we see in the social media is entirely different. The people starting from the waiter to the hotel staff and to the driver, everybody is taking care of giving a special treatment to us, right? From before the event also. It is
what kind of special treatment are you getting here after the incident?
Yeah. Everybody, the driver said, we are here to save you. We are here to take care of yourself, right? This is where the writing starting from the staff, right? The hotel arrangements are fantastic. They have given upgraded things to us, right? So everybody is so cooperative here. Everybody is saying we are here for you, right?
So there you hear, Preeti, there has been tremendous support by the local people here in Srinagar. This has been their experience. They are giving us their first-hand account. So life is slowly limping back to normal, but as far as the security forces are concerned, they are doing their job. Yesterday all night there has been firing in the region of Rajouri and Pulwama also, I beg your pardon, Rajouri and Udhampur. So security forces are trying their level best to counter any kind of insurgency or any kind of infiltration. But apart from that, it's certainly a big shock for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. They are also saying when life was coming back to normal, everything looked fine. We had a fantastic G20 session here. this incident has happened, and it's a big scar, a big blot on the face of the economy of Jammu and Kashmir, and also on the hospitality and love and affection of the people of Kashmir. Preeti?
Yes, indeed, this is a scar that will never be forgotten, Vishal. But also, when the people there are praising the hospitality they received in Kashmir, in Jammu and Kashmir, in spite of the Pahalgam terror attack, in spite of the incident, Pakistan does not seem to, trying to mend the ways, because we've seen ceasefire violations have been reported since yesterday. Get us more on that as well.
Well, absolutely, there has been a firing. This is small arm firing, not artillery firing all night, and Indian Army is retaliating to it. It's still going on, and if I may read out to you, this is the message from the Indian Army that I just got. Let me go through the message that how Indian Army is doing its very best. The message reads, Pakistan does it again, carries out unprovoked small arms firing all along the LOC, which is the line of control in Kashmir, in the intervening night of 25th and 26th of April. Indian troops have responded appropriately with small arms. No casualty reported. This is the message from the Indian Army.
All right, Vishal, thank you for joining in with those details. And keeping the deadline of April 27th in mind, large number of Pakistani nationals are reaching Atari border to complete their formalities. A lot of people are also turning up with their queries, which are being resolved by the authorities then and there. In total, 219 Pakistani nationals and 392 Indian nationals have crossed the Atari-Wagah border by Friday evening. India has revoked all existing visas issued to Pakistanis except the long-term visas, diplomatic visas and official visas with effect from Sunday. All medical visas issued to Pakistani nationals will be valid only till 29th of this month, and no new visas will be issued in the revoked categories. DD India's Gurmeet Singh joins us from Atari border in Amritsar. Gurmeet, good morning. We've told our viewers how people have been coming to and from the Atari border. Pakistani nationals are going to Pakistan, and from that side, we've seen Indians coming here. Get us more, what do we expect the day, and also get us more on, you must have interacted with the people there. What have been their viewpoints? What is it that you are gauging from the ground?
Preeti, keeping in mind the deadline of 27th of April, the people are coming in large number. Right behind me, you can see the international integrated checkpost of Atari-Wagah border, where large number of people are coming and trying to get their clearances done today only, because they do not want to leave anything for tomorrow. And a large number of people are coming. They are saying that they want to get everything on time. And right now, a large number of people are coming, and the custom authorities, immigration authorities, as well as the BSF authorities have made adequate arrangement while they are seeing that the number of people who are coming here on ICP is increasing slowly and gradually, and they are thinking, and their idea is that the number will increase manifold in another few hours. So if we talk about the number of people who have already crossed this border, that is in total that you have already discussed with our viewers, that is somewhere around 300. And if we talk about 24th of April, the very first day, on the very first day, the Pakistani nationals who were living in India, they crossed over this border. The number was 28. Quite less number of the Pakistani nationals left this country on the very first day, that was 24th of April. On the same day, Indian people who were in Pakistan, they crossed over through this border. The number was quite more. I think it was somewhere around 105. So on 25th of April, just 24 hours later, this number of Pakistani citizens leaving country increased manifold, and this has gone up to 191. And whereas the Indians who left the who came to the country back on 25th of April, the number of the people that number was also increased, and that crossed the number of 200 and somewhere 287. So in totality, if we see the tally of the people who have crossed over this border, so that tally has increased, and now the expectation is that this tally will increase in the coming hours, and by tomorrow this tally will certainly increase in number somewhere around 400 and 500. And if we talk about this time, and especially in coming 1 to 3 days, everything that depends, that is the person who is crossing this border, what kind of visa he is carrying. If somebody is carrying ordinary visa, so they have to leave the country by 27th of April. So keeping that in mind, people are coming in large number. Earlier, there was a kind of speculation and also state of dichotomy pervading that whether the people have to leave, Pakistani citizens with ordinary visa have to leave the country by 1st of May or before that. But later on, with the clarification of Ministry of External Affairs, this was made clear that the people with ordinary visa have to leave the country by 27th of April. So people are coming in large number to exit the Indian border. At the same time, if we talk about the medical visas, so people with medical visas are also leaving. Just a few time back, I think 20 minutes back, there was a lady who has come here for the medical treatment, but she is leaving the country because of the decisions taken on 23rd of April. So seeing the situation, it can be expected that the people who are coming and the Pakistani nationals who are here in India will come in the big number, and the people will leave the country in another 24 hours. And also there is another type of visa, that is SAARC visa exemption policy. Under that, whosoever crossed the border and came here in India was supposed to leave the country within 48 hours starting from the evening of 23rd of April. So it is assumed that all the people under this category have already left the country on the evening of the 25th of April. Now, if we, since I am here on the Atari Wagah border, so this is widely acknowledged for the retreat ceremony that happens on daily basis. On the 24th of April, the people were in the fix whether the retreat ceremony will continue or it will be discontinued. But later on, it was clear that the retreat ceremony will go incessantly. It will happen the same way it used to happen. But there were 3 observations which were made by the people who witnessed the event on 24th of April. The very first observation was that the gate of the Indian side was not opened, and usually this gate is opened every day when the retreat ceremony takes place. But starting from the 24th of April, this gate is not being opened. Second observation was that the BSF Jawans did not shake hands with the Pakistani Rangers. So that was another observation, because usually what happens when after the flag lowering ceremony, the Jawans of the BSF, they shake hands with the Pakistani Rangers, but that did not happen on 24th and 25th of April and may continue in the near future. As well, the third observation which was made by the people who witnessed the event, that is that the whole ceremony took place inside the Indian territory. Normally what happens, that the gates are opened and BSF soldiers as well as the Pakistani Rangers, they step ahead, like 1 or 2 steps are taken ahead of the international border, and then all these flag lowering ceremony and handshaking ceremony are done. But with the gates closing, nothing can be done. So the whole ceremony took place in the Indian premises and the Pakistani premises only. So these were the 3 observations. And if we talk specifically about Punjab, then Punjab, here in Punjab, Atari Wagah border is not only the border where retreat ceremony takes place. There are another 2 borders, Husainiwala border and Sadki border at Fazilka, where retreat ceremony takes place. But the same arrangements and the same observations were there also. Gates did not open there, and also the BSF Jawans did not shake hands with the Pakistani Rangers.
All right, Gurmeet, thank you so much for joining us with all those details from the Atari border. That was our correspondent Gurmeet Singh telling us more about the current situation at the border and also about how people are going to Pakistan, and from there the Indians are coming back to their country. We'll keep you updated. Meanwhile, the UN Security Council has strongly condemned the deadly terrorist attack, calling for accountability and international cooperation to bring the perpetrators to justice. Council members expressed their deepest sympathy and condolences to the families of the victims as well as to the governments of India and Nepal. Ambassadors reaffirmed that terrorism in all its forms and manifestations constitutes one of the most serious threats to international peace and security. They stressed that the perpetrators, organizers, financiers and sponsors must be held accountable and brought to justice. The Indian community across the world condemned the April 22nd Pahalgam terror attack and paid tributes to victims of the barbaric attack. The Consulate General of India in Edinburgh held a solemn remembrance ceremony in memory of those killed in the Pahalgam terrorist attack. The members of the Indian community in Scotland gathered in solidarity with India and against the scourge of terrorism. The Indian diaspora members also observed a moment of silence, prayed and paid tributes to the innocent lives lost in the Pahalgam terrorist attack. In Germany, Embassy of India in Berlin also organized an event on Friday in memory of the loss of innocent lives in the Pahalgam terror attack. Indian Ambassador to Germany Ajit Gupte addressed the gathering and offered heartfelt tributes to the victims. Representatives from German Foreign Office, Federal Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs, Defence Ministry, members of Diplomatic Corps, including defence attaches, Indian diaspora and Friends of India paid homage to victims and expressing solidarity with India. Members of the Indian community held a protest outside the Pakistan High Commission in London on Friday and condemned the terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam. Holding Indian flags, banners and placards, the protesters expressed deep sorrow over the loss of innocent lives and demanded justice for the victims. They raised slogans against terrorism and criticized Pakistan for allegedly supporting and sheltering terror groups responsible for such attacks. A candlelight vigil was held in Auckland to honor the lives lost and those affected by the recent terror attack in Kashmir.
Even oceans away, in this moment of collective grief, people far away from their homeland in Auckland led this peaceful candle vigil, praying for the departed souls and proving that distances will never dim our solidarity.
Thank you, Rahul, for organizing this evening. It is very important we come out and support. As it has been mentioned that we all stand in solidarity with India. What has happened in Pahalgam is unacceptable and we want an answer to be taken from those who are responsible of this incident. And we believe that Indian government will take appropriate actions against those who are responsible for this. With these words, once again from New Zealand, the message which I would like to convey is that we are with India. We are.
In Australia, Indian diaspora held a march to protest against the Pahalgam terrorist attack. In Copenhagen, the Indian diaspora members also paid tributes to the innocent lives lost in the Pahalgam terrorist attack. Indian diaspora all across the world expressing their solidarity with India in a display of global unity and compassion. People at Mahavihara in Bihar's Bodh Gaya paid tribute to those killed in the Pahalgam terror attack by lighting candles and holding prayers. India's Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal on Friday assured a smooth Amarnath Yatra, which is set to commence on July 3rd this year, despite the Pahalgam terror attack. Minister Goyal expressed confidence that tourism in Kashmir will resume soon, emphasizing that no one can derail Kashmir from its developmental path, highlighting the region's progress and potential. Registrations for this year's Sri Amarnath Yatra began in Jammu and Kashmir on April 15th. The Yatra is set to commence on July 3rd this year, simultaneously from both the routes, the Pahalgam track in Anantnag district and Baltal in Gandarbal district. It will culminate on August 9th on the occasion of Raksha Bandhan. Goyal stated that India has no interest in having trade relations with Pakistan, labeling it as a terrorist nation. He said that nothing can halt the progress that Kashmir is set to achieve.
मुझे लगता है कि भारत के लोगों में इतना सामर्थ्य है, इतनी हिम्मत है, इतना आत्मविश्वास है कि जल्द ही फिर एक बार पर्यटन वहां शुरू होगा, उद्योग वहां जाएगा, अमरनाथ की यात्रा होगी और कश्मीर जो विकास के मार्ग पे चल पड़ा है उसको कोई रोक नहीं सकता.
In the state of Gujarat, police have detained over 500 illegal nationals in Ahmedabad and Surat for allegedly residing in India using forged documents. The sweeping operation, which took place in the early hours of Saturday, was led by multiple enforcement units and local police teams. Officials confirmed that all detainees lacked valid documentation and had used falsified papers to settle in India. In Surat, a coordinated overnight combing operation led to the detention of more than 100 illegal Bangladeshi nationals. Meanwhile, a parallel operation was launched in Ahmedabad around 3 a.m. when over 450 individuals were detained. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will distribute more than 51,000 appointment letters under Rozgar Mela via video conferencing on Saturday. In line with Prime Minister's commitment to accord highest priority to employment generation, the 15th Rozgar Mela will be held at 47 locations across India. It will provide meaningful opportunities to the youth for their empowerment and effectively contributing to national development. The newly appointed youth, selected from across the country, will join the central government in various ministries and departments. Defence Research and Development Laboratory, that is DRDL, a Hyderabad-based laboratory of India's Defence Research and Development Organisation, that is DRDO, has achieved a significant milestone in the field of hypersonic weapon technology. DRDL conducted long-duration active-cooled scramjet subscale combustor ground testing for more than 1,000 seconds. This was done at the newly built state-of-the-art Scramjet Connect test facility at Hyderabad on Friday. The ground test is in continuation of the earlier test reported for 120 seconds in January this year. With the successful test, the system will be soon ready for full-scale flight-worthy combustor testing. The 6th edition of India-Uzbekistan Joint Military Exercise Dastik 6 is underway at the Foreign Training Node in Maharashtra's Pune. Based on the theme of joint multi-domain sub-conventional operations in semi-urban scenario, the joint drill will enable both the sides to share best practices in tactics, techniques and procedures of conducting joint sub-conventional operations. Aiming to sharpen the operational capabilities of both the Indian Army and the Uzbekistan Army, the exercise will also enhance defence cooperation, further augmenting bilateral relations between the two friendly nations. The drill will continue till Monday. The 6th joint group of customs meeting between India and Bhutan was held this week in Thimphu. The talks were aimed at strengthening bilateral cooperation to facilitate and modernize customs procedures for cross-border trade and transit, as well as to prevent illegal movement of goods. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, amid continued meetings and deliberations, US President Trump foresees a deal soon between Russia and Ukraine to end the conflict. Congo and Rwanda sign an agreement in the US in an effort to end the violence in eastern Congo. The world readies to bid the final adieu to late Pope Francis as rituals ahead of his final journey begin.
We explore various ways in which the delicate balance between urban development and environmental responsibility can be found.
We should have a target today that a minimal certain percentage of land must protected as for agricultural and horticultural purposes.
Our urban agriculture programs are designed to tackle food security and meet the nutritional needs of the poorest.
In the future, caves will become more attractive as they have a direct impact on the fight against climate change.
The government is going to implement a scrapping policy designed to take old polluting vehicles off the road to reduce India's carbon footprint. So we are converting existing petrol motorcycles and scooters into electric ones.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. India formulates plan over Indus water treaty abeyance. Jal Shakti Minister vows not a single drop of water will go to Pakistan. Stern action taken following Pahalgam terror attack. Houses of terrorists demolished in Jammu and Kashmir. UN Security Council strongly condemns Pahalgam terror attack, underlines the need to bring perpetrators, organizers, financiers and sponsors of terrorism to justice. India's DRDO achieves significant milestone in hypersonic weapon technology, successfully conducts long-duration active-cooled scramjet subscale combustor ground test for over 1,000 seconds. US envoy Steve Witkoff to hold talks with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Oman. Latest meeting will include expert-level talks on Iran's nuclear program. President Draupadi Murmu, along with other world leaders, to attend the state funeral of late Pope Francis in the Vatican. India to observe state mourning to mark Pope's funeral. Iran and United States will meet for the third round of nuclear talks on Saturday in Oman after both sides said that progress has been made in the previous rounds. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Oman on Friday ahead of the fresh nuclear talks with the US envoy Steve Witkoff. The latest round will include expert-level talks on Iran's nuclear program with Michael Anton, who serves as the State Department's head of policy planning, leading the technical discussions on the US side, the department said. Earlier, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi presented his new book, The Power of Negotiation, at the Muscat Book Fair in Oman. Speaking at the event, Araghchi said that the book draws from his personal experience in diplomacy, including key moments from Iran's nuclear negotiations. In an update on Russia-Ukraine conflict, US President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff met Russian President Vladimir Putin for 3 hours in Moscow on Friday to discuss the US plan to end the war in Ukraine. Trump said the two sides were very close to a deal despite apparent differences in their positions. In a social media post, Trump stated that it was a good day of talks and called for a high-level meeting between Kyiv and Moscow to close a deal. He also mentioned that most key points have been agreed upon and urged an immediate end to the bloodshed. The Israeli army on Saturday said that a missile was launched from Yemen into Israeli territory, adding that aerial defense systems were working to intercept it. In a statement, Israeli army said that sirens sounded in a number of areas in Israel following the launch. Meanwhile, there was no immediate comment from Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis. The World Food Programme and UN Refugee Agency UNHCR are planning major cutbacks due to a sharp drop in funding, particularly from top donors like the US under President Donald Trump. WFP warns 58 million people risk extreme hunger without urgent aid, with Sudan among the most affected. The agency expects a 40% funding drop in 2025, promoting a focus on critical programs. UNHCR plans a 30% cost reduction, bringing to half the senior roles and closing some country offices. Meanwhile, the program announced on Friday that it has exhausted its food supplies in Gaza due to more than 7 weeks of sustained border closures. In a statement, WFP said that no humanitarian or commercial goods have entered the enclave during the period. There are 28 million registered voters eligible to elect members of parliament in 343 individual constituencies, also known as ridings. Canada has 6 time zones, so voting is staggered to ensure that most people cast their ballots at the same time. We'll take a look at this detailed report on the poll process in Canada.
Canada goes to polls on April 28, with polls indicating a close race between Prime Minister Mark Carney's ruling Liberals and the official opposition Conservatives of Pierre Poilievre. There are 28 million registered voters eligible to elect members of parliament in 343 individual constituencies, also known as ridings. The number of ridings has been expanded from 338 since the last election in 2021. Now let's understand in detail the election process. Canada is a constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy, rooted in the Westminster tradition. The system involves 3 main components: the Crown, the Senate, and the House of Commons. Responsibilities for lawmaking are shared among federal, provincial, and territorial governments, with judicial oversight ensuring constitutional adherence. The Constitution governs the roles of the Crown as well as the executive and legislative branches. During a federal election, all Canadian citizens who are at least 18 years old on election day can vote in their electoral district. The ceremonial head of state is King Charles III, represented domestically by the Governor-General. The real power, however, lies with the Prime Minister, who leads the government and must have the support of the House of Commons, Canada's lower chamber of parliament. The House of Commons currently has 343 seats, each one representing a riding or electoral district. Canadians don't vote directly for the Prime Minister, they vote for their local MP. The party that wins the most seats typically forms the government. If they win 172 or more, that's a majority. Anything less, and it's a minority government, requiring cooperation from other parties to pass legislation and survive key votes. Now let's understand who can contest election in Canada. The candidate must be a Canadian citizen and at least 18 years old on election day. The candidate must not be a member of the Legislative Assembly of a province or territory and must not be a chief electoral officer and must not be a judge appointed by the Governor-General or election officer. Also, the candidate must not be imprisoned in a correctional institution. Political parties need to choose candidates to run in an election. As soon as the election writs are issued, each party must decide who will be its candidate for each riding. A candidate can also run for election without being affiliated with a party, as either an independent candidate or a candidate with no affiliation. The right to run in a federal election is protected by the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. In most cases, a clear winner emerges after the ballots are counted, but sometimes the vote count is very close or even tied. If there is a tie or a close vote, the ballots need to be counted again in a judicial recount. A judge presides over these recounts. Bureau Report, DD India.
Candidates vying to be Canada's next Prime Minister campaigned across the country on Friday, making a final push to sway the voters ahead of April 28th general election. Liberal leader and current Prime Minister Mark Carney visited Algoma Steel in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, spotlighting one of the nation's struggling industries. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre rallied support in Saskatoon, a conservative stronghold. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh campaigned in Toronto, doubling down on his party's promises to protect healthcare and tackle the rising cost of living. The latest polls indicate a tight race between the ruling Liberals and the official opposition Conservatives. US President Donald Trump on Friday stated that his administration will be reasonable as it enacts tariffs, adding that he thinks financial markets are adjusting to his tariff policy.
I'm speaking to a lot of people from China, but I'm speaking to people from all over the world. on the tariffs, and we're making very good deals. Very good. It's going to make our country rich. We're not going to be ripped off like we have been for the last literally 50 years. No, I think we're going to have a lot of big wins. I don't know if it's going to be covered that way by the fake news, but the wins are going to be very substantial.
A Wisconsin judge was arrested by U.S. officials amid a dispute between the Trump administration and local officials over immigration enforcement on Friday. A Wisconsin judge was arrested and charged with aiding a defendant in evading immigration authorities. According to the U.S. Justice Department, Judge Hannah Dugan allegedly obstructed immigration agents by letting defendant Eduardo Flores-Ruiz exit the courtroom through a side door, helping him briefly evade arrest. He was later apprehended outside the courthouse. Meanwhile, following the judge's arrest, Trump stated that the courts are hindering his administration's efforts.
That's a terrible thing. The judge was arrested because he was housing a trendy Iroquois, right? Is that the one you're talking about? It's pretty surprising. It's terrible. We have hundreds of thousands of people that we want to get out of the country, and the courts are holding us back. Some judge that nobody ever heard of is holding us back. It's very dangerous for our country. I mean, you want to see a country that'll have crime? Let that happen, because it's really dangerous for our country, and I can't believe the Supreme Court would let that stand.
As part of diplomatic efforts to end violence in eastern Congo, an agreement was signed between Congo and Rwanda in Washington on Friday. As per the agreement, both countries vowed to come up with a draft peace deal by 2nd of May and refrain from providing military support to armed groups. The agreement was signed at a ceremony with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who also signed as a witness. The agreement is expected to bring significant U.S. public and private investment to the region, which is rich in minerals including tantalum and gold. The deal raises hopes that the latest cycle of violence in a decades-long conflict might ease, with both countries hoping to attract significant U.S. investment in minerals. Both parties also agreed to look into a joint security coordination mechanism to crack down on armed groups and criminal organizations. At least 11 people were killed after a drone strike by the Rapid Support Forces hit a displacement camp in Sudan's River Nile state. The RSF, which denies carrying out drone attacks, has targeted power stations in army-controlled locations in central and northern Sudan for the past several months, but the strikes had not previously left major death tolls. The escalation of such strikes, which have hampered the country's electrical grid and plunged millions into weeks-long blackouts, comes 2 years into a damaging war as the army has been pushing the paramilitary force out of central Sudan. Ground fighting in the conflict is now focused in the Darfur region, where the RSF is fighting to seize the army's remaining foothold, driving hundreds of thousands from their homes. There has also been fighting in western Omdurman, part of the capital, where the RSF remains present. Virginia Giuffre, who accused Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of sexual abuse, has died by suicide at 41. Giuffre's allegations against Epstein and Prince Andrew drew widespread attention, though Prince Andrew repeatedly denied the allegation of assault when she was 17 and avoided trial by paying a multi-million-dollar settlement. Her family remembered her courage and loving spirit, saying the lifelong impact of abuse became too much to bear. In solemn and sacred ritual held behind closed doors, the coffin of His Holiness Pope Francis has been officially sealed. It marks the final chapter in the life of one of the most influential spiritual leaders of the 21st century. Known in the Church as rite of the closing of the coffin of Roman Pontiff, the sealing ceremony was held by Archbishop Diego Revelli and Cardinal Kevin Farrell in St. Peter's Basilica. More than 100,000 mourners filed into St. Peter's Basilica earlier on Friday to pay their respects to Pope Francis, viewing his open coffin in the final visiting hours ahead of his funeral on Saturday. India has declared a 3-day mourning on the passing of His Holiness Pope Francis on April 21st. President Draupadi Murmu is in Vatican City on 25th and 26th of April to attend the state funeral of His Holiness. Our correspondent from Vatican City, Jayanti Jha, has more of this.
President Draupadi Murmu paid homage to His Holiness Pope Francis by laying a wreath at the Basilica of St. Peter in Vatican City. The President will also be attending the funeral mass of His Holiness Pope Francis at St. Peter's Square in Vatican City, which will be attended by dignitaries from around the world. Over 100,000 people have already paid their respects to Pope Francis.
We are very proud that our ambassadors are coming to meet Holy Father, especially our President is coming to meet, give the condolences, the name of our nation. So we are very proud and thank of our India, of our nations. And as we are Christians, we also thank our nations for this moment to pay homage to our beloved Pope Francis.
I'm here to pay respect to Pope Francis because I loved him very much and I'm very moved about his death, and I want to pray for his resurrection and to thank God that he served us as a Pope.
Now here in Italy, I am 10 years I am in Italy. Now I came here to see Pope Francis. I'm very glad to see him the last time.
Thousands of people from across the world have gathered in Vatican City to pay their last respects to Pope Francis. India has declared a 3-day state mourning to mark the passing of Pope Francis, a symbol of spiritual courage across the world. Indian President Draupadi Murmu is on a 2-day visit to Vatican City to offer condolences on behalf of the government and the people of India. Reporting from Vatican City with camera person Loknath for DD India, this is Jayanti Jha.
And now our correspondent Jayanti Jha is joining us from the Vatican City. Jayanti, good morning. What is on the agenda for day 2 of President Murmu's visit to the Vatican City?
Good morning from Rome. Today, President Draupadi Murmu will be attending the funeral mass of Pope Francis. The President will be participating in the entire 3-hour ceremony. This follows yesterday's wreath laying where President Murmu paid respect to the mortal remains of Pope Francis in Vatican City.
All right, Jayanti, Pope Francis was respected across India and the world. How has India marked his passing away?
Yes. As you know, India has declared a 3-day state mourning on the passing of Pope Francis. The first 2 days were April 22nd and April 23rd. And the third day is today, the day of the funeral, which will be part of the 3-day state mourning for Pope Francis. Other than that, President Draupadi Murmu is here on a 2-day visit to Vatican City to attend the funeral of Pope Francis, showing how revered and respected he was across the world, especially in India.
All right, Jayanti, also for the funeral today, are other global leaders, world leaders also expected? Who are the members of the India's delegation today?
Yes, several world leaders are expected today, heads of states. Even yesterday, to pay respect to the mortal remains of Pope Francis, several world leaders visited Vatican City. At the same time, the Indian delegation comprises President Murmu, as well as the Union Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and Minority Affairs, Kiran Rijiju, the MOS for Minority Affairs, George Kurian, as well as the Deputy Speaker of the Goa Assembly, Joshua D'Souza.
All right, Jayanti, thank you so much for joining us with those details. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Reliance posts record revenues in financial year 25, becomes the first Indian company to cross 10 lakh crore in total equity. In IPL, Chennai Super Kings lose to Sunrisers Hyderabad in Chennai for the first time in history.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to updates from the world of business now. Reliance Industries Limited reported a record-breaking annual consolidated revenue of more than 1,71,000, in fact 10,71,174 crore for 2024-25, driven by growth in consumer businesses and oil to chemicals. Also, Reliance posted record revenues in financial year 25, becoming the first Indian company to cross 10 lakh crore in total equity of over 10 lakh crore rupees in 2024-25. Reliance Industries announced a dividend of rupees 5.5 per share for the year ended March 2025. Reliance's annual consolidated EBITDA rose 2.9% to rupees 1,83,422 crore, while Jio Platforms' quarterly EBITDA jumped 18.5% to 17,016 crore rupees. The capital expenditure for the year ended March 31st, 2025 was rupees 131,107 crore. And Jio added 6.1 million new subscribers in the quarter, bringing its total subscriber base to 488.2 million as on March 31st this year. India is witnessing a positive trend in job growth, according to the latest World Bank report. Since the 2021-22 fiscal year, employment in the country has grown at a faster pace than the working age population. The report said that a significant aspect of this growth is the rising participation of women in the workforce. It also noted a sharp fall in urban unemployment. In the first quarter of the 2024-25 financial year, urban unemployment dropped to 6.6%. Now, this is the lowest level recorded since 2017-18. Another major trend observed is the shift in worker movement. For the first time since 2018-19, more men are migrating from rural areas to cities in search of employment. At the same time, rural women are increasingly taking up jobs in agriculture, indicating a shift in employment patterns across the country. The report also highlighted a rise in self-employment, particularly among rural workers and women. The IMF and World Bank met with Syrian officials to discuss rebuilding the war-torn country, emphasizing on the need for reliable economic data, central bank reform, and revenue generation. This marks a significant step, with Syria's central bank governor and finance minister attending IMF and World Bank meetings in Washington for the first time in over 20 years.
In this meeting, we discussed how we can start rebuilding institutions and policy capacity in Syria, and how different institutions can play on their comparative advantage to help. For the funds specifically, what it means is, of course, step cautiously, but engage to first define data, what is available, how we can rebuild credible data capability.
Up next, we turn focus to sports. We'll talk of cricket. Kolkata Knight Riders are all set to take on Punjab Kings at the iconic Eden Gardens in Kolkata on Saturday. With both teams eager to bounce back from recent setbacks, this encounter promises to be a crucial one in the race to the playoffs. This will be the second meeting between the two sides this season. Punjab defeated Kolkata in their first meeting, defending the lowest ever total of 111 runs in the IPL history. Kolkata have just 3 wins from 8 games and are on a 2-match losing streak. A win at home is vital to keep their playoff hopes alive. Punjab, on the other hand, are placed 5th with 5 wins out of 8 games so far. Earlier on Friday, Sunrisers Hyderabad produced a clinical all-round performance to beat Chennai Super Kings by 5 wickets in the Indian Premier League, registering their first ever win over Chennai. Pat Cummins' decision to bowl first paid off in style, as his bowlers, led by Harshal Patel, kept Chennai to a modest 154. The chase was not entirely smooth, but Kamindu Mendes' late heroics with the bat ensured that Hyderabad crossed the finish line with 8 balls to spare. Organizers of Formula One Spanish Grand Prix in Madrid have unveiled the final version of their Madrid Circle Madrid circuit on the outskirts of the Spanish capital. The new circuit will have 22 turns in 5.4 kilometers with an average lap time of 1 minute and 34 seconds and maximum speed of 300 kilometers per hour. Local authorities said licenses and paperwork were ready from Friday for building work to begin. The construction of the track in an urban area in Madrid's northeast is expected to be completed by May 2026 and will cost $94.57 million. The circuit that will host the Madrid Formula One Grand Prix for 10 years from 2026, called Madrid, was officially presented to the public at an event on Friday. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.